Ambassador Lee fidgeted with his collar as the 6 alien representatives stared at him. The diplomatic room on the massive ship Stellar Dawn had beautiful star views, but right now, Lee couldn't enjoy them. What should have been a simple meeting had become a disaster over something so small, a laugh. It started when Admiral Toole, the leader of the Voidborn delegation, had described their homeworld as entirely without frivolous activities. Lee had chuckled nervously, a habit from his diplomatic training when faced with uncomfortable silences. That small sound echoed through the chamber, and everything changed. The Voidborn all turned to him at once, their skin, nearly transparent with strange patterns flowing beneath, suddenly flashed with pulses of deep red. Lee realized too late he had made a serious mistake. "You mock our cultural values?" Admiral Toole asked, his translator giving his voice an unnatural metallic quality. "No, not at all," Lee said quickly. It was just a laugh, a human response. The aliens looked confused. Their compound eyes reflected the room's lights in dozens of tiny mirrors. Lee felt sweat forming on his forehead. "Explain this laugh concept," demanded Toole. Lee took a deep breath. "It's a human reaction. Sometimes we laugh when something is funny, or sometimes when we're nervous or uncomfortable." The Voidborn delegation whispered among themselves in their clicking language. Lee glanced at his human team members, who looked equally worried. This first meeting with the most powerful alien civilization in this section of the galaxy was not going well. "We have studied your species for some time," Admiral Toole said finally. "This behavior was not in our reports." Lee tried again. "Humor is complex. It's part of being human. We laugh at unexpected connections between ideas, or to release tension, or to share joy." The alien seemed genuinely puzzled. One of the smaller Voidborn approached and studied Lee closely. "Your species evolved in sunlight. Perhaps this explains the development of unnecessary behaviors." Lee nodded eagerly. "Yes. Different environments lead to different adaptations. The Voidborn evolved in the darkness between stars, correct? Your species developed amazing technology instead of weakness." Toll finished. His skin now pulsed with yellow and orange patterns. "We do not waste energy on these emotions you display." The human diplomatic team exchanged worried glances. The Voidborn controlled over 50 star systems. Earth needed this alliance. "Admiral," Lee said carefully, "different isn't the same as weak. Humans use humor to build connections, to deal with hardship, even to solve problems in new ways." Admiral Toll rose from his seat, towering nearly 3 meters tall. The Voidborn were naturally thin and tall, with 4 jointed arms and skin that seemed to contain flowing liquid light. Now that light had turned deep red again. "We will require proof of this claim," Toole announced. "If your humor and emotions are strengths and not weaknesses, you must demonstrate their value." The room temperature seemed to drop. Lee's assistant passed him a note. "Be careful. They destroyed the last species that failed to impress them." Lee stood up straight. What kind of proof would satisfy the Confederation? Admiral Toll's skin rippled with blue light patterns as he thought. "A challenge. Our greatest warrior against your best representative. If your human wins, we will consider your species worthy of respect. If not..." He left the threat unspoken. "That hardly seems like a fair test of our culture's strengths," Lee protested. "It is decided," Toole said. "The Voidborn champion, he will face your chosen human in 7 of your Earth days. The combat will use our energy weapons." The other human diplomats began objecting, but Lee raised his hand for silence. He knew from the briefings that the Voidborn respected only strength and clear hierarchy. "We accept your challenge," Lee said firmly, though his heart raced. "But know this. Humans have surprises even for beings as advanced as yourselves." Admiral Toll's skin flickered briefly with what might have been curiosity. "Prepare your champion. The trial will determine if Earth becomes our ally or our newest resource world." As the Voidborn delegation left the chamber, Lee turned to his shock team. "Contact Earth immediately. Tell them we need Captain Kim, the sunburst survivor. Someone whispered. Is that wise? Lee nodded grimly. The Voidborn use plasma weapons. If anyone can face that and survive, it's her. The stars outside the viewport suddenly seemed colder and more distant. Earth's future would now depend on one special human, and the unique abilities that even most humans didn't know existed. The emergency meeting room of the United Earth Council buzzed with nervous energy. 50 leaders from around the world sat around the large oval table, their faces showing fear and worry. On the main screen, images of the Voidborn ship hung in Earth orbit like a dark promise. Director Park stood at the front of the room, his normally calm face now tight with stress. The aliens have demanded a combat trial. One champion from Earth against their best warrior. The room erupted in angry voices. This is madness. We can't agree to this. They're testing us before they attack. Director Park raised his hands for quiet. We've analyzed all options. Fighting their entire fleet would mean certain destruction. Refusing the challenge would be seen as weakness. He paused, looking at the door. We have one chance. Captain Kim, please enter. The room fell silent as Captain Sun Kim walked in. She moved with easy confidence, her black uniform perfectly pressed. At 34, she wasn't very tall, but something about her commanded attention. Her short black hair framed a face that showed no emotion at all. Most of you don't know Captain Kim, Director Park said. Her service record is classified. But she is our only hope against the Voidborn champion. An older woman with gray hair stood up. You can't be serious. The aliens described their champion as nearly 3 meters tall with 4 arms. He's won 300 battles. We need to send a team, not a single person. Captain Kim remained perfectly still, her expression unchanged. The terms are clear, Director Park replied. One champion, and Captain Kim is our best option. Based on what? Someone else demanded. Director Park glanced at the 5 senior military officials in the room. They nodded slightly. 6 years ago, there was an incident at the Sunburst Research Facility. Director Park explained carefully. Official records show it was a minor radiation leak. The truth was much more serious. The room was completely quiet now. Captain Kim was security chief at the facility when something went wrong. The experimental energy core released a new type of radiation. Everyone in the core room died instantly, except Captain Kim. All eyes turned to the silent woman. Instead of killing her, the radiation changed her. Her cells began adapting to energy in ways we still don't fully understand. Captain Kim finally spoke, her voice calm and clear. I absorbed the radiation. My body processed it. Director Park nodded. After extensive testing, we learned Captain Kim's cells can now convert certain energy types directly into biological energy. The more powerful the energy blast, the stronger she becomes. That's impossible, someone muttered. Director Park continued. We've kept her abilities secret, even from most of our own military. And now we need them. He turned to Captain Kim. The Voidborn champion is called Ha. The combat will use their energy weapons. What do you think of our chances? What type of energy weapons? She asked simply. According to our intelligence, plasma-based. A small smile appeared on Captain Kim's face. That might work in our favor. Director Park pulled up images of the alien warrior. He towered over a simulation of a human figure, with 4 powerful arms and strange armor covering his body. He's killed champions from 15 different worlds, Park said grimly. The Voidborn use these challenges to determine which species become allies and which become slave worlds. Captain Kim studied the image without fear. His size will make him slower. The 4 arms are an advantage, but I've trained against multiple opponents. This isn't just about winning a fight, Director Park said to everyone. The Voidborn are watching to see if humans deserve respect. How we fight matters as much as if we win. Captain Kim nodded. I understand. An older general spoke up. There's something we're not discussing. If Captain Kim's abilities become known to the Voidborn, They might want her for study. Or worse. Director Park looked grim. That's a risk we must take. If Earth becomes a resource world, we all lose everything. Captain Kim stepped forward. I've read about the Voidborn. They value strength above all. They've never encountered a species with my abilities. She looked around the room at the worried faces. I will show them that humans are not what they expect. She turned to leave, but stopped at the door. Prepare the special equipment Dr. Moon developed. I'll need it for training. As she left, the room remained silent. Director Park watched her go, then turned back to the council. The trial is in 7 days. Until then, we prepare. And we hope. He looked up at the image of the massive alien ship. Because if Captain Kim fails, there is no second chance for Earth. The underground lab complex beneath Seoul glowed with blue light from dozens of screens. 300 meters below the busy streets above, the secret facility had been built during the global wars, before the United Earth government formed. Now it served a new purpose, preparing humanity's champion. Captain Kim sat perfectly still as medical robots scanned her body. The machines hummed softly, casting green light over her skin. Across the room, Dr. Moon studied the incoming data with intense focus. You should rest, Dr. Moon said without looking up from his screens. The trial is in 3 days. I'm fine, Kim replied. She hadn't slept more than 2 hours each night since accepting the challenge. Dr. Moon turned to face her. Though just 45, his hair had gone completely white after the sunburst accident. He had been there that day, outside the core room, watching through the window as his colleagues died and Kim changed. Your stress levels are too high, he said, pointing to one of the screens. Even with your abilities, you need to be at your best. Kim finally nodded. The robots finished their scan and retreated to their charging stations. She stood up and stretched. Show me what you found, she said. Dr. Moon touched several controls, and a large 3-dimensional model of DNA appeared in the center of the room. Parts of it glowed with strange patterns. 6 years ago, the sunburst radiation rewrote parts of your cellular structure, Dr. Moon explained. Normal radiation damages DNA. This did something else. He touched another control, and the model changed to show a single human cell. Your cells now contain something like tiny batteries, he continued. When energy of the right frequency hits them, instead of causing damage, they store and convert it. Like fuel, Kim said simply. Exactly. Dr. Moon smiled. A normal human hit with a plasma blast would be severely burned or killed. But you. I get stronger, Kim finished. She remembered that terrible day. The alarms, the screams, the blinding light that had filled the core room. She had rushed in to help, only to be caught in the full force of the radiation pulse. She should have died instantly like the others. Instead, she had felt something impossible. The energy flowing into her rather than burning through her. Dr. Moon walked to a secure cabinet and entered a long code. The door hissed open, revealing a small metal device about the size of a coin. We've analyzed the Voidborn weapons from the information shared during the challenge arrangements, he said, picking up the device. Their plasma technology operates on a frequency range of 340 to 380 terahertz. Kim's eyes widened slightly. The same as sunburst. Almost exactly. Dr. Moon nodded. It's why Director Park selected you. But there's a problem. Their weapons are much more powerful than anything you've trained with. Your cells might become overloaded. He held out the small device. This is a neural amplifier. It will help your body process energy more efficiently. Without it, the first few blasts might overwhelm you before your adaptation kicks in. Kim took the device, studying it carefully. How does it work? Place it at the base of your neck. It bonds with your skin and connects to your nervous system. Dr. Moon looked concerned. We've tested it as much as possible, but I'm the only test subject that matters, Kim finished. She placed the device against her neck. It felt cold for a moment, then warm. She winced slightly as it bonded with her skin. "How does it feel?" Dr. Moon asked anxiously. Kim closed her eyes, sensing the new connection to her nervous system. "Strange, but not bad." Dr. Moon returned to his screens. "The Voidborn know nothing about your abilities. They expect a normal human who will be easily defeated by their champion's weapons." Kim smiled slightly. "Their surprise will be my advantage." "There's something else you should know," Dr. Moon said, his voice becoming serious. "The scans show your cellular changes are accelerating. Each time you absorb energy, the adaptation spreads further." "Is that dangerous?" Kim asked. "I don't know," Dr. Moon admitted. "You're the first of your kind. There's no map for what you're becoming." Kim walked to the training area of the lab where target drones waited. "Let's continue the tests. I need to know exactly how much I can handle." As she prepared to train, Kim thought about the Voidborn champion waiting for her. 300 victories, never defeated. She wondered what it felt like to be so certain of your strength, only to discover your greatest weapon was actually your enemy's greatest advantage. "The Voidborn don't know what you are," Dr. Moon said quietly. "Use that." Kim nodded. In 3 days, she would face an alien warrior who had never lost a fight. But he had also never fought anyone like her. For the first time since the challenge was announced, she felt something close to hope. The massive Voidborn ship opened its central bay, revealing a strange sight, a large asteroid floating in an energy field. This was the combat arena, a barren rock barely 1 kilometer across, now surrounded by observation pods filled with representatives from dozens of alien civilizations. All had gathered to witness Earth's trial by combat. Captain Kim sat silently in the small transport shuttle approaching the asteroid. Across from her, Ambassador Lee looked sick with worry. "The entire galaxy is watching," Lee said, checking his tablet. "Billions of viewers. The Confederation has never allowed such wide access to a trial before." Kim nodded but said nothing. Her focus was elsewhere, mentally preparing for what was to come. "Remember," Lee added, "this isn't just about winning. It's about showing who humans really are." The shuttle docked at a small platform on the asteroid's surface. When the door opened, Kim felt the artificial atmosphere envelop her, breathable but uncomfortably cold. She stepped onto the rocky surface, her simple combat boots crunching on the dust. In the distance, a much larger ship was docking. From it emerged the Voidborn champion. Kim had seen images, but they didn't capture the alien warrior's true presence. He stood nearly 3 meters tall, his 4 arms rippling with muscle beneath translucent skin that pulsed with green and blue light patterns. His exoskeleton armor gleamed in the starlight, and his compound eyes reflected the distant suns like dozens of tiny mirrors. Small camera drones floated around them, capturing every moment for the waiting audiences. An artificial voice announced, "The trial between the Voidborn Confederation and Earth will now commence." Ha moved toward the center of the arena with surprising grace for such a large being. Kim walked forward to meet him, conscious of how small she must appear to the watching worlds. They stopped 10 meters apart. "You come unarmed to your doom," he observed, his translator making his voice sound flat and mechanical. Kim looked up at the towering alien warrior. "I come as I am." His skin flashed with patterns that might have been amusement. "Your species is either very brave or very foolish." He raised one of his 4 arms, revealing a weapon built into his exoskeleton. "The terms allow me full use of my plasma weapons. You could have chosen to bring defensive technology." "I don't need it," Kim replied simply. Around the arena, the alien spectators buzzed with commentary. Most had placed bets on how quickly the human would die. None had bet on her victory. The Voidborn champion tilted his head, studying her. "I have ended 300 champions from worlds across the galaxy. Some fought for days. How long will you last, human?" Kim didn't answer. Her hand touched the small device at the base of her neck, making sure it was secure. Without warning, he fired. A brilliant blue-white plasma bolt shot from his arm weapon, striking Kim directly in the chest. The impact threw her backwards, slamming her into a rock formation with enough force to crack the stone. Gasps echoed through the watching crowds. Ambassador Lee gripped his chair so hard his knuckles turned white. Kim lay motionless for a moment, her uniform smoking and partly burned away. He approached slowly, ready to fire again if needed, but clearly expecting to find a dead or dying human. Instead, Kim's eyes opened. She sat up, looking down at her chest where the plasma had hit. Instead of burned flesh, her skin glowed with a strange iridescent light that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. "Interesting weapon," she said, standing up. His compound eyes widened. His skin flashed with patterns of confusion. He fired again, this time a sustained plasma beam that should have cut through her body. Kim took the full force of it. The beam pushed her back a few steps, but she remained standing. The glow on her skin intensified, spreading across her entire body. The neural amplifier at her neck hummed as it helped her process the massive energy influx. "Impossible," he whispered, still firing. Kim began walking forward, directly into the plasma beam. Each step became easier than the last as her body absorbed and converted the energy. The sensation was like drinking pure strength, filling her with power. She started to laugh, not from mockery, but from the pure joy of discovery. She had never absorbed this much energy before. She felt like she could move mountains. The sound of her laughter echoed through the transmission, reaching billions of viewers who watched in stunned silence as the small human walked through a weapon that could melt starship hulls. He backed away, firing from all four of his arm weapons now, creating a storm of plasma energy around Kim. The asteroid surface began to melt from the spill of her power, but Kim remained unharmed, growing stronger with each step. "What are you?" he demanded, his voice losing its mechanical flatness, showing real emotion for the first time. "Fear." Kim smiled as she approached through the energy storm. "I am human," she said, "and you've been using exactly the wrong weapon against me." He fell to his knees, all four arms dropping in exhaustion. His weapons had overheated and shut down after firing continuously for nearly 20 minutes. The asteroid surface around them had melted into glass from the massive energy discharge. Yet Captain Kim stood before him, unharmed. In fact, she glowed. The energy she had absorbed created a soft blue light that pulsed from her skin. She looked almost like a voidborn with their natural bioluminescence, though much smaller. The watching aliens were completely silent. Nothing like this had ever happened in a Confederation trial before. Kim approached the kneeling A. The voidborn champion looked up, clearly expecting a final attack. Instead, Kim extended her hand. "You fought well," she said. "There's no need for either of us to die today." I stared at her outstretched hand, confusion evident in his compound eyes. In 300 combats, he had never been offered mercy. It was not the Voidborn way. In the observation deck, Admiral Toole turned to Ambassador Lee. "Your champion refuses to terminate ours. This is not the expected conclusion to a trial." Lee smiled slightly. "Humans value life. Even in combat, we can choose mercy." "Fascinating," Toll replied, his skin pulsing with patterns of deep thought. "Yet your Captain Kim clearly possesses the power to destroy her. Why show weakness?" "It's not weakness to spare a life when you have the power to take it," Lee explained. "It's strength of a different kind." On the asteroid surface, he finally reached up with one of his lower arms and accepted Kim's hand. She helped the massive alien to his feet. The camera drones captured the moment as billions watched across the galaxy. "What are you?" he asked, his translator struggling to convey his mix of fear and wonder. Kim's glow was slowly fading as her body processed the absorbed energy. "I'm what happens when humans face challenges. We adapt." 3 days later, the stellar dawn became the site of an historic meeting. The Voidborn Council of Elders gathered to hear Captain Kim explain what had happened. Dr. Moon accompanied her, bringing data about the sunburst accident and Kim's cellular changes. The radiation changed her at a fundamental level. Dr. Moon explained to the fascinated aliens. Her cells now process energy instead of being damaged by it. The more powerful the energy, the stronger she becomes. Admiral Tull studied the human medical scans with interest. And this happened by accident, not deliberate genetic engineering. Complete accident, Kim confirmed. We didn't plan it, but once it happened, we learned from it. Like your humor, said one of the Void-born scientists, an adaptation to help process difficult situations. Ambassador Lee nodded enthusiastically. Exactly. Laughter helps us handle stress, build social bonds, and sometimes see problems in new ways. It's a strength, not a weakness. Over the following weeks, something remarkable happened. The Voidborn, a species known for conquering worlds and valuing only strength and technology, began to study human culture with genuine interest. They requested books, music, and especially comedy. Human scientists were equally fascinated by Voidborn technology and biology. The two species started sharing knowledge openly, each finding unexpected value in the other's differences. Captain Kim found herself in a new role. No longer just a military officer, she became a bridge between the two species. Her unique biology made her something between human and alien, able to understand both perspectives. Your adaptation abilities are remarkable, Admiral Tull told her during one meeting. Your species faces a problem and transforms it into an advantage. Even your emotions serve a purpose we had not considered. 1 month after the trial, delegates from 50 worlds gathered for the signing of the Earth Confederation Alliance. The ceremony took place in Seoul, near the hidden facility where Kim had trained. Admiral Tull represented the Voidborn, while Director Park signed for Earth. This marks a new chapter for both our peoples, Director Park announced, not as conquerors and conquered, but as allies who respect each other's strengths. Admiral Tull's skin glowed with formal patterns of agreement. We have existed for 10,000 years, believing our path of pure logic and strength was superior. Your species has taught us to reconsider this view. As the formal ceremony concluded, Admiral Tull approached Captain Kim. The Voidborn leader's skin displayed unusual patterns no human had seen before. Perhaps, he said, his translator working carefully, there is something valuable in this laughter after all. Then, to everyone's astonishment, Admiral Tull attempted something no Voidborn had ever done before. His voice made an awkward barking sound, and his skin flashed in irregular patterns. What was that? Kim asked, confused. I believe, Tull said. You call it a joke. Why did the human cross the galaxy? He paused. To show aliens the power of a smile. The room fell silent. Then Captain Kim began to laugh. A genuine, joyful sound. One by one, the humans joined in. The Voidborn watched in fascination, their skin pulsing with new patterns as they studied this strange human reaction that had helped save a world. The end.